such as Javon Hargrave. I see that he became the first rookie starter for the Steelers defense in like 20 years, I think. And me and him was roommates when we got the award for offensive and defensive player of the year in Black college football, and just like getting to know him, seeing how cool he was, even though we went against each other, and we was enemies at one point. Just seeing him do good makes me feel good about myself and about how I can become an impact player in the NFL too.
Now, I don't know if they told you, but this show actually broadcasts from Atlanta. So, I've had the opportunity of seeing you on several occasions here at the Georgia Dome, most recently in last year's Celebration Bowl, where your team won the HBCU National Championship. How was the experience of playing in a game of that magnitude and playing before a national audience on ESPN?
It was great, not only for myself, but for the school. It got us great notoriety. People really starting to know who A&T is from, like, not just North Carolina, from all over, because our student applications incoming freshmen was the highest it's ever been, and they said it's even going to be higher next year.
Wow, that's major, man. That's major. Now, speaking of major, you had the opportunity of meeting President Barack Obama last week when he was on campus for his town hall meeting put on by TheUndefeated.com and ESPN. What was it like to be up close and personal with President Obama?
It was a surreal moment, because never in my life I thought I would meet the president, meet the person who's like basically at the top of the free world, and just to be in the same room with him and see him like in person. I kind of didn't believe it. I really was checking to see if it was a hologram, if it was really him, but it was kind of crazy seeing Barack Obama in person.
All right, he is the all-time leading rusher in MEAC history, and I read something this week that said to stop referring to him as the best back in HBCU football and put some respect on his name, as Birdman would say, as the best back in the nation. He is Tarik Cohen. Thank you, homie, and good luck in today's matchup versus Howard, and we'll be talking to you sometime soon, okay?
Okay, thank you. Thank you for having me.
Great stuff right there. That young man definitely has a bright future ahead of him. This is the HBCU Report, and I am Rob Calloway. We're being heard live via TuneIn, iHeartRadio, and the 2 Live Stews Radio Network. Big shouts out to the legends, Doug and Ryan Stewart. You can now download the HBCU Report on demand via Google Play for Android and iTunes. And we caught up with Tarik Cohen last season during his final campaign there at North Carolina A&T when he was just tearing up the record books. Of course, the dude has done some outstanding things, or did some outstanding things while at A&T. And just want you to, while you get familiar with this show, I want you to get familiar with Tarik Cohen. He had an outstanding performance in his NFL debut last week against the Atlanta Falcons, over 100 all-purpose yards, including a touchdown. And I just expect a lot of great things out of that young man. So shouts out to North Carolina A&T, Rod Broadway, head football coach of those Aggies. Saw Coach on ESPN. I saw you, Coach. Big shouts out to you. Always a great thing when the HBCU program gets a plug on the national stage. Coming up, we are set to talk with Reggie Barlow. Who is Reggie Barlow? Come on, man. You better act like you know. Former Bama State University head football coach, now up in Virginia State, doing his thing with the Virginia State University Trojans. They have amassed a record of 11-2 going back to last season. Currently 2-0 on the season this year in CIAA action, including a victory over a FCS opponent, MEAC opponent in Norfolk State to kick off the season. And so we will talk with Reggie Barlow and see what's going on up in Virginia. Coming up after this break, don't forget we are powered by our content partner, sportsnewsandbrews.com, your official source for all things sports, black news, political news, and the latest on your favorite craft beers. Log on to sportsnewsandbrews.com right now. Reggie Barlow's up next right here on the HBCU Report.
The HBCU experience lives here. The HBCU Report with Rob Calloway. We'll be right back.
Take a look under your bed. Find stuff under there? What about jobs? No? Now try your basement. There's a pair of overalls that overall you're not so into anymore. A perfectly good laptop that hasn't sat in your lap in months. And even more stuff, but still no jobs? Well, you really have both. See, stuff is defined as household articles considered as a group. Sometimes this stuff is no longer needed. Wait, no longer needed? That can't be right. Because remember those jobs you were looking for? Those are really needed, and they're the stuff inside your stuff. Even inside that winter coat that moved with you to Phoenix. Our job is to unlock those jobs, and it starts when you donate your stuff to your local Goodwill. Here's how we do it. When you donate to Goodwill, we sell your stuff to provide job training for people right here in your community. So just by teaming up with Goodwill, you help create jobs. And isn't that worth parting with the leftover keytar from your 80s cover band? Goodwill. Donate stuff, create jobs. Find your nearest donation center at goodwill.org. A message from Goodwill and the Ad Council.
From Clark Atlanta to Morehouse to Spelman, it's the HBCU Report with Rob Calloway.
This is the HBCU Report. Rob Calloway on the line right now with Reggie Barlow. He is the head football coach of the Virginia State University Trojans. The Trojans currently 2-0 on the season, entering this bye week. First of all, Reggie, welcome back to the HBCU Report.
Yes, sir. Thanks for having me, Rob.
Not a problem, man. Always a pleasure. Now, let's talk a little bit about this Virginia State Trojan football that you got going on down there, man. Last season, you guys went 9-2, 5-2 in the CIAA. I would have to say that your signature win came in the season finale with a 45-35 victory over Willie Slater's Tuskegee Golden Tigers. So take us back to last season, and how special was it for you to be able to get things going in that direction so quickly?
Yeah, last season was a fun season for us. I tell you, I was really blessed to have acquired some really mature young men that had been in the program for a while, had been through a coaching change or two, and really was just looking for somebody to get in there and lead them. And our coaching staff, our coordinators did a good job of getting the information and the scheme to the guys, and we gave them a process to get on the mindset of what we wanted our team to be, and they all fell in line with that.
Absolutely, man. So, you end the season with the SIAC victory over Tuskegee, as I mentioned, and then you open the season this year with the victory over a MEAC opponent in Norfolk State, a 14-10 victory to kick the season off. How was that victory? How did that help you guys, I guess, if you would, get things going this season?
Yeah, this classic, the Labor Day Classic between Virginia State and Norfolk State is something that had been going on forever, and there was about a 5-year hiatus where it didn't take place. So our fans and their fans, our alum, everybody was really excited about it, and obviously many of our student athletes played against those guys in high school. So it was a fun game to be a part of. I thought our coaches did a great job of preparing our guys. Our student athletes were really dialed in and focused throughout camp, knowing that we was going to have to, shoot our best to have an opportunity to win that game. And the guys went out and played hard. It was a rainy day, but we made some mistakes, but all in all, the guys played good and got the victory for us.
Absolutely. This is the HBCU Report. Rob Calloway on the line with Reggie Barlow, head football coach of the Virginia State University Trojans. The Trojans currently 2-0 on the season. Bye week this week. Last week, you guys racked up a 44-6 win over Johnson C. Smith, a game that saw Trenton Cannon rush for 152 yards of the team's 346 yards on the ground. Walk us through that win, Coach.
Yeah, well, that was a good game. Our offense, we knew we wanted to establish the run the ball on that team. Coach Carney, our coordinator, and our offensive line coach, those guys got together and put a really good game plan together, and we were able to do some good stuff. When you have a guy like Trent Cannon on your team, this guy's an explosive running back. He can run for power and speed inside or outside, catches the ball well, and he's a solid player. So we got the ball to him amongst some of our other running backs and was able to do the job. And our defense stepped up and played really well for us, only gave up 6 points, I think, and was just solid throughout the entire game. And when your defense is playing well, you're going to have an opportunity to win.
Now, as I mentioned, this is a bye week for you guys, but coming up next week, you're going to see that CIAA powerhouse in Winston-Salem, a team that you got to know very well last season. So this week, with it being an off week, I'm sure you guys have been doing what getting healthy and doing some things in preparation for next week. Yeah,
we especially for guys like Trent Cannon, to give him an opportunity to kind of not take hits and get himself back refreshing. Winston-Salem, they really took us to the woodshed last year. They were more physical than us. They played faster than us. They were better coached than us, just all the way around. And they're the barometer for our conference. They've won a lot, and they've done it the right way. So whenever you want an opportunity to be the best or see how you measure up, you got to do it against the best. And I'm just looking forward to seeing how our guys go out and perform against a well-coached and very athletic Winston-Salem team.
Well, now that you have your feet firmly planted up there in the CIAA, of course, you are a SWAC guy, being a Alabama State University alum, former head coach of the Bama State Hornets. Now that you see this thing, through both sides, what's the difference? What's the biggest difference in your opinion between the style of play that you come to know in the SWAC versus what you do now in the CIAA?
Well, I think from a physicality standpoint, these guys are just as physical as guys were in the SWAC. I mean, there are more teams in the CIAA that are willing to run it and stick with the run, and whether it's inside, outside zone stuff, they still are willing to stick with it. And obviously in the SWAC, the ball get thrown around a lot. Not as much as it used to, but teams in the SWAC really like to throw it around. And offenses have changed so much these days with the long run, I call it, with throwing bubble screens and that type of stuff. So both are good brands of football. They're really good coaches in the CIAA. Obviously, there are some great coaches in the SWAC conference, but there are some guys that I know on our team now at Virginia State. They very well could have played for me at Alabama State, and I'm sure there's a similar across the entire conference.
Now, I'm glad you brought up that coaching thing. You know, the number of coaches in the CIAA. Because let me tell you this, bro. Because I make no secret. I have a little Bama State bias in my blood. And, I talked to you, I think, before your very first game there at Virginia State last year. And, I go to the website every week. You all go on this 3-game win streak to open the season, then you lose one, then you go on another streak, then you lose one, then you go on another streak. And every week I'm looking at the website. I'm like, I know my man gonna be I know he gonna be coach of the week this week. I know he gonna be coach of the week this week. And dude, it was almost like they were hazing you, man. Like for some reason you never got that honor. But to start the season off this year, you definitely were the CIAA Coach of the Week, so we definitely want to tell you congratulations on that, because that's something that's long overdue, but long overdue.
Yeah, we appreciate that, and we get it. I mean, obviously, like I said, there are other coaches that do a good job for their teams, and whenever we're recognized, it's more for me as a team award, and just shows what type of people we have in our program and type of coaches we have and type of student athletes. So we're grateful. We're grateful to get it, and one day we'll be able to celebrate all that stuff.
Absolutely. Now, let me ask you about some other stuff away from Virginia State, but just some football stuff. Having played football at every level, part ball, high school, college, the highest level at the National Football League. A lot of things are still being said from a health perspective. What are some of the things that you find coaches doing nowadays to protect the kids a little bit more from concussions, more so than other injuries, other bumps and bruises than were taken when you were actually a collegiate or a professional player?
Well, right now, I mean, obviously going in camp, you have these acclimation days where guys are allowed to get their bodies acclimated before they go full gear. I think that's helpful. Every student athlete is required to take a baseline concussion test to kind of get an idea of where the guy is before the season, and then if he was to have a concussion, they could compare those records. So I think that's good. That's a start. I mean, this game is a physical game. And I think teaching guys how to tackle and, not to really hit with your head and all that stuff. I think in the long run that'll help. And of course,